I hope you guys took note on who made titles like Sarah will become a major hurricane or drew fake cones on the way to Florida that showed it being impacted by a major hurricane. Now, there was always high-end potential with this storm depending upon the track, but certainly a major hurricane was never in play for Florida. That was going to be in the Caribbean. What's going on, guys? Certified meteorologist Jonathan Kagas back with you. All the stuff that I just mentioned, it's not only unprofessional, it is dangerous, and it is blatant misinformation. Look, I have been wrong before in my forecast. I'll certainly be wrong again. I do the best that I can. We do the best that we can. But it's stuff like that that people knowingly know those outcomes aren't going to happen, and they post it anyway for clicks. That's what we are trying to avoid. Now we're going to get into some of the very dangerous stuff that's going on in Central America when it comes to Tropical Storm Sara. We're going to break this down with sound science and meteorology to give our friends in Central America and beyond the best information. So here we go. As of the 4 o'clock advisory, we still have a tropical storm. That is Sara, of course, and we have it meandering off the coast of Honduras. It doesn't look all that impressive, but this is one of the things that we always talk about, the only or just a tropical storm. Each has their own personality. Each storm has their own flavor. And while it's not going to be intense in terms of the wind speed, it's intense in terms of the rainfall and potential for life-threatening flash flooding. We're going to show you some of the rainfall amounts expected for our friends in Honduras through Belize and into the Yucatan. So here is the latest official forecast from the National Hurricane Center. You see the icons very close together. That means a slow-moving storm here through the next couple of days. Sunday, we're expecting to get this closer to Belize, hanging around Belize City. Again, weak in terms of intensity when it comes to the wind speed, but a lot of heavy rain coming down the pipeline. You see it going over the biggest chunk of land over the Yucatan Peninsula and then emerging maybe as a tropical depression, if not even a remnant low. And for those that have the interest in Florida, I'm going to show you the modeling down the road. It's going to be hard for this thing to even regain tropical characteristics once it gets out into the central Gulf of Mexico. Again, more on that in just 1 second. I want to show you the spaghetti models first, and then we're going to get into some high-level pinpointing when it comes to the rainfall amounts in Central America. There's that loop-the-loop that continues to hold as well, as it's kind of in between the steering currents. And then watch what happens. We see it move up to the Yucatan and then eventually hook back towards Florida. The one thing I do want to caution when you see these spaghetti models posted everywhere is they show nothing on the intensity here. And while it shows a turn toward Florida, it's likely going to be on the weaker side. At most, tropical storm strength, unless there's going to be significant changes and it remains well off the Yucatan, and then it can get more strength over the warm waters of the Caribbean. But if it continues to look like it's going to have this big-time land interaction, there's no way it's going to be able to regain or come to Florida towards a hurricane. Look at all the rain coming down the pipeline here, and it's already raining heavily in Central America. This is going to be through Tuesday, so this is through the end of that forecast cone that you just saw. And I want to take the dabber out and really look inside here. And again, this is rain to come. So we're talking about upwards of 20 to maybe 25 inches to come. That'll put rainfall totals with this event on the northern side of Honduras in the 20 to 25 inch range, potentially eclipsing 30 inches, hanging around, taking it closer toward Belize City. It's going to be a little bit less, but still flash flooding, mudslides going to be possible when you're talking of a foot or more of rain coming into sections, especially the eastern sections of Belize and into the Yucatan, closer to Cancun, anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of rain. If it ends up shifting a little bit further to the north and east, then we're going to get into those higher rainfall totals as well as we move forward here. So those are the rainfall totals, again, for the Yucatan. I want to show you again going forward what this could look like over the next couple of days. We're going to fast forward out to Sunday. Still have a little bit of a circulation here over land. It's hard to find, but note as of Sunday evening, it's already a shell of itself. And then it works its way into the central Gulf of Mexico. It's really, really hard to find a center of circulation on the model. This is the GFS, by the way. We also have a big-time cold front that's hanging right here that's going to kick it in that direction. That's why we do think Florida is going to be impacted. We've been talking about that all along. The uncertainty was how strong. It's becoming a little more clear that tropical storm strength is the maximum here. And again, it could just be some rain and probably trending in that direction for parts of the Florida Peninsula, maybe the Florida Big Bend area as well. Okay, so let's clear the road here, clear the map, and show this going forward. It does try to get a little bit of a circulation right here. You see that? The wind barbs showing you there, the streamline showing that as it works its way in. But notice how the wind direction changes abruptly like this. There's likely getting some frontal characteristics on that, meaning that it's not going to be completely tropical as it comes through. So still on Wednesday, for the Florida Peninsula, could have some heavy rain, maybe a severe weather threat as well, depending upon still what this looks like. It may even look less impressive than what this is. And again, right now, not that impressive. But certainly that would be the main threat here, the main impact of the Florida Peninsula. Certainly not a hurricane. And again, to all those that made those ridiculous thumbnails, again, there was always the potential for a hurricane strike if it were to get strong fast. We broke down those scenarios for you. A stronger, faster, a more quickly developing storm is what I'm trying to say. South of Jamaica, that would have been able to go up and then potentially hit Florida as a hurricane. Again, it did not take that road. It took its time to get together. It's still looking sloppy, and that allowed it to meander further to the west. That, of course, means more land interaction, and then it's really hard to pick itself off the floor after that, especially with it being November. If it was August or September, maybe a different story. But again, we always talked about those two camps, and it became clear like 2 days ago that it was going to be taking it was going to take its time to get its act together and continue to meander west. For those that are wondering what's steering this, and again, I wanted to get out the impacts first and then really talk about the misinformation because, again, it's not about being right or wrong. Believe me, I will own it. I have been wrong many times before. It's a very humbling science. It's a very humbling job forecasting the weather. But getting something wrong and blatantly knowing something is not going to happen, but you do it for clicks, it's inappropriate, unprofessional, and it's garbage. Just straight up. And I'm going to call it like I see it. It is garbage. And the people that are the offenders, they know that. And again, there's a difference between putting something on there and being wrong and drawing a fake cone and putting a Cat 4 hurricane. It's terrible, and it's especially after the season that Florida's had. Meteorologist David Nazario talked about that as well in his live stream earlier. So here's the steering current, by the way, as we get back to the science and meteorology side, which is why we are here. And if you have found this content helpful, and if you like to track the weather, talk about the weather, all that stuff, break down the science, you've come to the right place. Please hit that subscribe button if you want to learn more about the science and nerd out about the science, and again, have that weather conversation with us. That's why this channel exists. That's why we're here. We like to do that with you guys. We love to have that conversation. Here we go. There's our little system. Again, the brighter the greens and yellows, that means the deeper the low pressure here. This is the deal right here. High pressure also coming in stronger than modeled a few days ago, which has also allowed for that to be pushed and steered further to the east, or further to the west, I should say. That bubble of high pressure becomes even more prominent, and that's what really has pivoted this even further. Now, at this point, this is going to be on Monday, the model can't really find anything, just a broad area of low pressure. This dip in the jet stream right out here. Let me get the telestrator back. Whoops, didn't mean to move the earth. I see that right in through here. That is what guides it up. So between the clockwise flow around high pressure and then around the base of that trough, that's what sends the storm in the direction of the Eastern Gulf. And again, that's when those spaghetti models can be misleading because they really don't show anything intensity-wise. So just taking that for face value might look like there's a storm coming. And I guess there is. It is going to get rainy in Florida on Wednesday, but certainly it's going to be a shell of itself. Here it is right here. There's the little kink in the height lines. There's our perturbation. There's our area of low pressure, relatively weak. Here's our big upper low to help drive that in to the Eastern Gulf, including Florida. But again, it is going to be a shell of itself going forward over the next couple of days. By the way, we're almost done with hurricane season. Again, there's a reason why hurricane season goes through November. I know there's been a lot of talk about extending the hurricane season, or this is so weird. Unfortunately, if a storm is going to brew, it's climatologically in the Western Caribbean. So there's also some misinformation on that part as well, just trying to scare people that every single season we're going to get a big storm in November. This has been an odd season, and certainly it's going to have to be looked at going forward. A lot of research is going to have to be done to see if we're going to have more seasons with an atypical peak like what we saw this year. But that's a story for another time. But again, don't let the misinformation flow. We're almost done. Officially, what, 15, 16 days left and ending on November 30th. Certainly, you can get postseason tropical systems. Going forward, the MJO comes out of phase. We get some sinking air coming in, so this may be it. Always leave the possibility open, especially in the Caribbean, for a December storm. But again, there's nothing screaming at us like this one was, and certainly like Rafael was when we were talking about the activity coming still into November weeks ago. Alrighty, guys, thank you for listening to the Soapbox. Again, I don't mean to talk about that every time, and it's just things are becoming more egregious, and unfortunately, we've had professionals get on here and I believe take advantage of people that may not completely have the weather knowledge that are looking for knowledge, and it's getting worse. And I'm gonna call that out every time because it's exploiting what should be an informative platform, and when it's not life threatening, a fun platform to talk and nerd out about the weather. I could talk about this all day. I'm sure you guys are bored at this point, but just wanted to get that out there. Thank you for hanging with us. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all the new subscribers. We will catch you soon. Be careful what you see on social media. And please, to our friends in Central America, be safe. Life-threatening flash flooding and mudslides occurring and likely will continue for the next couple of days, courtesy of Tropical Storm Sara.